Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Anxiety Warriors podcast. We are your hosts, Margot
and Abby. We are friends, teachers, and storytellers, but above all, we're anxiety warriors on a mission to raise awareness and understanding about anxiety and mental health.
You will hear honest, engaging, and joyful stories from us and many other anxiety warriors about living with anxiety. If you're seeking a space to laugh, connect, feel inspired and empowered, and learn valuable tips rooted in mindfulness and more, your warrior community is here for you.
Join us as we navigate this journey of life together.
Hello, warriors.
Woo!
Woo! I don't think I've ever said hello, warriors.
No, you threw me off there.
I threw myself off.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
Oh my gosh. Maybe we need to start over?
No, I think that was great. It was great.
Hello. Why don't I ever say hello? Hello, warriors.
Because you don't answer your phone. You never say hello.
That's true. I never answer my phone. In fact, I got a call earlier, which I thought was very interesting because within 30 seconds, I received a call from one number to my phone. And then 30 seconds later, I received a call from that same number to Ground and Center's phone line, which comes to my phone.
Okay.
And I was just like, what is this? This person has both my numbers. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know why I told you this. Oh, because of the hello.
Yeah.
And so I actively ignored both phone calls.
Yeah.
And guess what? They didn't leave me any voicemails, but then I did learn who it was. So,
but it's like, okay, hello.
Let's sidetrack for a second. Why don't people leave voicemails? It makes me so angry.
Oh yeah, I know.
When I
You're
get a
gonna
call.
actually pick up the damn phone and make a call. Leave a voicemail.
Right.
Otherwise, just start by texting.
Exactly. And if you don't think, like, if you're texting a business, right, or you're trying to get a hold of a business, which I am, right? Then go on and send an email, right? Something. Or whatever. Like, give us an inclination of why you're reaching out, especially if you know that I don't have your number programmed into the phone. Like, who answers the phone?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you answer the phone, warriors. Maybe we need to have this be a topic idea one day. Talk about phone anxiety, like true phone. Did we talk about just phone anxiety?
We did talk about phone anxiety.
Well,
I think it was lumped into communication.
So, that's true.
Yeah.
You're right. But then maybe it needs its own separate, mundane or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, seed planted.
Yeah.
We're already off the rails thanks to me.
Totally
You're very
off
welcome.
The rails.
You're welcome.
Nothing to do with what we're talking about.
You know what? It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want whenever we want. We're in our fuck it 40s also. So it's whatever, whenever. Okay.
That's it.
That's it, warriors. You get what you get and you can get upset, but all right, then turn us off, I guess.
Yeah.
So speaking of bad behavior, I'm behaving really badly right now. I am off track. I'm off the proverbial rail. So we are talking about bad behavior today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess ultimately, I guess in my mind, I wasn't thinking it was bad. But it is kind of bad behavior. But it's, in my mind, we feel anxious about something. We're either aware or not aware of the anxiety, right? Usually more or less aware. Because I feel like when I'm aware of the anxiety, I can adjust my behaviors. But when I'm unaware of the anxiety, then in ways to cope, I might do bad behaviors that I then later feel bad about. Right. Yeah. But they're not like intentionally bad behaviors. Right.
It's as a result of the anxiety.
Yeah. Right.
You're not being bad because you're an asshole.
No.
Right. And again,
although you might come off like an asshole.
Right. That isn't your heart. Right. No. You're not an active asshole, but you're just acting like an asshole.
Yes.
Oh, I just had a flash. I swear it is related to this exact phrasing.
Okay.
You've seen I Love You Man, right?
Oh God, so long ago.
With Paul Rudd and Jason Segel.
No, I mean, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it, but I don't remember it.
Literally during the end credits, there is Jon Favreau and was it Jamie Presley? They're like the married couple that like fight all the time that's in this movie. So picture warriors. If you don't know this movie, there's a married couple. They fight all the time. At the very end of the movie, they're arguing they're at a wedding and they're eating wedding cake and they're arguing. And Jamie Presley looks at him and she goes, "You've never called me an asshole?" And he goes, No, you're not an asshole. You act like an asshole. It's your behavior. You act, he literally says that's your behavior. Yeah. It's one of the funniest lines. And then she vomits on him because she's pregnant. But anyway, it's hilarious. but I think it fits in here. It's
it
perfect.
totally fits. Yeah.
You act like an asshole.
Right.
You're not an asshole.
And you're not even intentionally acting like one. Although you might be aware of it at some point. You might be like, ooh.
Yeah, that's true. We can all be a little assholey sometimes.
Yeah.
Assholey. Like unholy.
Yeah.
Holier than thou. Holy assholery.
Yeah.
Okay, so Abby, talk to us about your anxiety making you a bit of an asshole.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of stories, right? There's so many. There's like little ones where like, if I'm feeling super anxious, like I won't hold the door open for someone if they're like a number of steps away, not super close to me.
Okay.
Right. But like if I'm feeling anxious and rushed, and that person is like 20 steps, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I'm in like a pleasant, good mood, like let me hold the door and smile for everyone. But if I'm in a rush and I'll pretend I don't see them, right? So there's like those little ones that happen. But I'm going to share 2 stories that I'm a little embarrassed about. Yeah, you don't know these. And I'm actually having anxiety even thinking about sharing.
And I'm like, get me my popcorn.
Yeah. So here we go. So for the warriors that are new, I identify as someone with anxious attachment, although in the last like 5+ years, it's gotten a lot better. But one thing to know about anxious attachment is that when you have anxious attachment, you are usually attracted to avoidant people that are not emotionally available, people that are hard to get. And when someone is a little too easy to get or a little too interested in the anxious attachment, in this case, me, it's kind of anxiety producing. Because like, if you have the narrative, I'm not good enough, or I need to pursue, or I need to like convince this person why to like me, but they already like me at the beginning, like obviously there's something wrong with them, right? And then you got to be the avoidant and push them away, right? So the first story happens when I was in college. And I ended up, and I don't even think I know I had anxiety at this point. I didn't know. I had no idea about anxious attachment, knew nothing about that. And I was somewhat new to dating at that point. And I ended up doing like a 3.5-week class in Ireland. And while I was there, I met this really nice guy, Ben. Oh, I met him in England. No, I met him in Ireland. And then I visited him in England for like a weekend in London. And he was super, super nice. And everything was great. And then like, this is like, you don't even use email. So we got each other's like addresses and sent each other a couple letters. Maybe we used email too. Maybe. I don't know. It's so long ago now. Anyway, so I had only really known him for like 2 days, and and we never like hooked up. Like there was no intimacy or anything, but there was an attraction. And so somehow we decided that he was going to come visit me in New York during one of my like school breaks from college. Oh, I have so much anxiety sharing this. And stay at my like parents' tiny like small house, and then we were gonna like go visit some of my friends in New Jersey. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the closer it got to him coming to visit, I was like, oh my God, why is this man flying? I should say boy, because he was like 22, 21, 19. Maybe we were both 19. I don't know. We're under 21. We're under 21.
Yeah.
Why is this child flying from
I mean, you were a child too.
Yes, but I wasn't. I went there for school, right? Like
That's true.
And why is this person flying from London all the way to New York to see me? What must be wrong with them, right? And so the closer it got to him coming, and then there was a big snowstorm, so I couldn't even make it back to my parents' house to get him from the bus stop. He like flew into New York City. He found the Trailways bus to come to Woodstock. My mom had to meet him at the bus stop, right?
Okay.
And then he comes, he's like sick. He had like some cold or something. It was, he ended up like messing with my mom's stereo. She's going to remember and appreciate the story. But so then we went to Jersey together to hang out with my friends, but I was so weirded out that he would do this big trip to hang out with me.
Yeah.
But I was such a bitch.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I still feel so bad about it. I feel so bad. I mean, I wasn't like a super bitch. I
was gonna say define bitch. What was the behavior?
I just wasn't emotionally available once he came. I treated him like a friend, which he was. I didn't know him that well, right?
Sure.
He never like made a move on me, but then we were like hanging out with our friends and I was like super flirty with one of like my male friends to like let him know I'm not interested in him. Right? And I still feel bad about that. But at the time, I was just like off the rails, anxious and uncomfortable. Yeah. Why would this guy do this? So this goes into my next story where I met a guy in Florida during spring break, also when I was in college, but this is my senior year of college. His name, Jason. And same thing. He ended up living in California and he flew from California to New York to hang out with me after we met and we like were texting and, I think I texted at this point. I don't even know, right? What did we use?
Yeah.
And at this point I was living in New Paltz and I was like in a house with a bunch of my friends and he came to spend the weekend or the week with me. And he was so nice and like open-hearted and it weirded me out so much that I did the same behavior where I just shut him out and treated him like a friend and like put an emotional wall up and like it was a very thick wall, right? And and felt really bad afterwards.
Okay, so question.
Yeah.
How long afterward did you feel bad?
I still feel bad now.
Well, I meant like when did the feeling bad start? Was it like immediately after they left?
It was while they were there. I knew I was
while
being
you were behaving
bitchy, but I didn't know why.
Right.
At the time.
And so you didn't do anything differently.
No, I just was uncomfortable. And the way to keep myself comfortable or more comfortable was to put those huge emotional walls up.
Okay.
Right?
So then my other question, hands in hand with that one. What happened ultimately with these men or boys at the time?
I mean, nothing.
Well, like, so did you literally, the communication stop dead cold? Or was it just like a petering out? Did they ever say anything to you about your behavior? Like, what was sort of like the end game? Aside, you're not married to either of them, right?
Yeah.
So we know how things ended up.
Yeah.
But like, what was like the goodbye where, this is over kind of?
Yeah.
I
don't really remember. I don't remember, especially with Ben, the first one. I don't remember. I feel like something weird happened, but I can't really remember. So I don't remember. And I don't remember with Jason either. I don't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't remember how it ended. I just remember it was so awkward and so uncomfortable. And I felt really bad during it, but I also didn't know why I felt bad. And so I was trying to act like things were okay, but things weren't okay. And I had been like so open and loving when I met both of them at first. And then then they meet me and I'm like this cold-hearted bitch who, is like, get away from me. Yeah.
Okay. So my other question, do you think that because it sounds like you became like an anxious avoidant, right?
In those cases, yes.
In those cases, right. So I didn't mean like that's who you are now and had been. Yeah, I just meant like, in those situations, it sounded like your behavior anyway was more, resembling an anxious avoidant behavior. And so do you think in retrospect that some of your discomfort and then which led into your quote unquote bad behavior towards these individuals was related to feeling like you weren't worthy of their attention?
Yes, Oh yeah.
Or like affection or something.
Yeah. What's wrong with them that they're going to fly?
Right.
Like, they literally flew like 6 hours, right? One from California, one from England. It's like almost the same
Those
time
are
travel.
major trips, especially for young people.
So
that maybe
what is
are
wrong
unlimited.
with them? Like, don't they see I'm a hot mess? Like, what is wrong with them to be doing that? Like, you know, it really like freaked me out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
so do you think, what was the pattern before that? Is that you were used to being the one that was more actively chasing or seeking?
Yes.
Right. And so like this was so opposite of your typical pattern then with these two individuals that it was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this.
Yeah. Right.
Because what must be wrong with them that they're so into me to take flights thousands of miles away from their homes?
They barely know me.
To be with me, to hang out. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. Like I had so many narratives of not being worthy and being extremely insecure and thinking there's something wrong with me. And, you know, and then like, just like you said, I was so used to pursuing and pursuing and pursuing. And in both these cases, I wasn't really pursuing, and it really, it made me, I was afraid. I mean, I don't know what, I think I was like afraid of opening up. Like I wasn't emotionally mature. Right.
Sure.
And I'm sure they weren't either, but you know, in both those cases,
but they put themselves out there. They put themselves on a limb, right?
Yeah. And I didn't want to put myself on a limb, right? So yeah.
I mean, I know you're making, you know, it's clear, right? It's evident me looking at you, how uncomfortable you were sharing.
I'm so uncomfortable. Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge, right, the bravery that it takes to share something that happened in your past that makes you deeply uncomfortable, because that is extremely brave thing to do. And you're doing it to the ether, right? So like literally anyone, these guys can be listening right now.
And Jason, I'm sorry. I wasn't really a bitch. I just didn't understand why you would travel to hang out with me, and it freaked me out.
You were just anxious about the situation and didn't have the language or the understanding that that was your experience.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I mean, and you could even attribute like, oh, you were insecure. You had questions about your self-worth or whatever, but you wouldn't necessarily equate those things with being anxious either.
No.
Right. Or like the symptoms that come with anxiety and then the behaviors that come with anxiety.
Right.
So I want to ask you to, if you could, through today's voice of yourself right now with your most compassionate lens, what do you want to say to Abby at that time in your most compassionate lens? Right?
See, come on. It's like, girl, buck up.
Okay, that's not really compassionate.
Yeah.
But okay, that's fair.
Wait, am I saying it before they come, while they're there, or after they left?
Any of them. Just like thinking about how uncomfortable you are now sharing these moments.
Yeah.
And how you felt clearly, not just after, but during and leading up to them arriving, right? You had this entire experience of before, during, and after where the discomfort was there in different layers, right? But it was there that entire time. So just think about it more just as like a blanket of like that time. So what are you what's like the kindest thing you could think of to say to that version of you, this version of you right now that's still dealing with it, right? So like it may be hard, but like what would you say to me if I shared that story, the same stories with you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like because it's, you know, like 20 plus years ago, right? I think Jason was 20 years ago, and I think Ben was like 22 years ago. Like, first of all, it's really not a big deal. I mean, it sucks. It sucks that they paid that airfare and they made that trip, but
they lived and learned.
That's right. Get to know someone before you fly across the country to hang out with them, right?
Impulsivity.
Yeah. See, I think that's where I'd start. It's probably not as big a deal, and of course we can learn from those things, and I maybe learn from them. Like,
that's how you would say it to me in that exact way? You don't sound very reassuring. So I know if I'm hearing that as your friend who went through those experiences, I don't feel reassured. Just saying.
I mean, I'd probably say like, oof.
Okay. Now speak in a more compassionate lens. Aside from, that sounds really fucking uncomfortable. I could see why you regret that. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the next thing you say to one of your best friends that shares that with you?
I think that's it. That sounds really uncomfortable. And it's a very funny story.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think ultimately it's just really, it's not a big deal. And it does seem like you've grown and learned from them. That's what I'd say to you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It took you a while. It did take you 15 years to learn about attachment theory from that point, but you've learned it and now you can understand those behaviors in hindsight.
That felt better. I felt better listening to that. I felt better. Right. And so I get that sucks. It sucks to even think about it because it's like you're clearly not in a headspace where you're ready to truly forgive yourself for what you're sharing.
I can laugh at it because it is funny, right?
That's different from forgiving yourself for it and being able to let it go as saying that was an old version of me. Yes. I'm not that woman anymore.
Right.
And haven't been for a really long time. And all we can do is keep being better. Right?
Okay. I mean, that's true. I do totally agree with that. I'm not that person anymore. Right. Nope. And I've learned how to communicate since then. But at the time, I mean, it's definitely something I just feel I'm not a mean person, right?
No, you're not.
And you
weren't
mean.
then either.
I just didn't know how to communicate. I didn't have tools.
But you could always repair. Get on Facebook, find him.
No, I don't want to. No, it's
I'm joking. Of course it's awkward. That's the point, though.
Remember you flew 20 years ago?
They're going to be like, who the fuck is this bitch?
Yes, exactly. I don't know. They might remember.
You know what? They might. And they might. Who's to say they wouldn't greatly appreciate hearing from you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe they've become assholes because you treated them so badly.
That's it.
And you ruined their lives.
They'll never trust another woman again.
That's it. You fucked them. Well, didn't fuck them. Maybe we cut that. Not that you didn't owe them anything like that. Right.
No.
But you maybe owed them a kinder personality.
Yes. Yeah.
Who you owed them you owed them yourself. Right.
Oh, but I didn't even know who I was then.
No, I know, but there was clearly something that they really dug about you. Otherwise, they wouldn't have flown to see you for a weekend or a week or whatever. So, I get that you didn't know who you were. Nobody knew who they were when they were in their early 20s. But, you know what I mean? Whoever you were when they met you, that's who they were maybe deserved to see again, even if nothing ever came from the situation, right? So, look, I think you're very brave to share.
Thanks.
I see and witness your discomfort.
Yeah.
And I can relate. And I feel like everyone listening has a story like that. Maybe not with, dating or whatever, but with relationships, right? I think that is really where the biggest tie-in here is and will be with what I share is that it has to do with who our relationship to ourselves, our understanding of our anxiety, of where we are in the stage of our life that we're in. Right. And how you communicate or struggle to communicate with groups of people or a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your story. How's let's hear this.
So it's so funny. I was oscillating between a few and I'm going to share the most recent thing.
Okay.
And I think it'll be that much more hopefully eye-opening for listeners or whatever, because mine's about current day. And it's about my life partner, Adam. Right. And so it's a very different situation, right? It's just here's my secure partner that I've been with literally 24 years today. And then versus, you sort of happy casually thanks for my happy old anniversary. We call it the old anniversary. It's very obviously very different in terms of time of our lives and with whom. So funny story, not so funny story. We, after you and I had recorded our episode about anticipation anxiety.
Yes.
And I talked a lot about roller coasters. We decided, when I say we, Adam decided, and I begrudgingly said, okay, to maybe go back to Disney in a couple weeks.
Oh, fun.
Sure. No, I'm excited to be, I like being at Disney, ultimately I said to him, cause he's been talking about going back for the past, since we left The last time we went in 2012, basically. It's like, when are we going back? And for me, it was like, I really want to we've been to other places since then, right? And even still, I'm like, I really want to save for a really big vacation. I don't want to just take like another little quick one off or whatever. And he was but anyway, he was kind of just like, let's just do this one. We'll just do a quick like 5-dayer, and then we'll only focus our attention and saving on that big vacation. Great. And so I agree. I'm like, great. And so the main reason why we were going to go is because one of his friends from the Furnace Fest community works for like Disney VIP, basically. And so they get free park tickets and a whole bunch of percentages off hotels and like all this kind of stuff. And so, okay, great. So I kind of like didn't ask much about it after that. I was like, all right, well, that's happening. You know, he booked our hotel and our flights, and everything was like ready to go. I'm like, all right, cool. So what's going on with the park passes? So this is where the anxiety that I actually wasn't sure was related to anxiety until like the end of the conversation or argument, I should say. The reason why I was anxious about this thing was because all of a sudden everything was sort of buttoned up, and it's happening, and it's happening like this and this and this and this. Great. And then the park passes wasn't happening. And so like in his mind, he didn't want to bother the person who has to wait for a certain number of days ahead of the trip to keep logging on, right? To check and see if our dates opened up. And so the way it works is she checks the dates as frequently as she can, right? She obviously has a job and a family and so like I was kind of like constantly asking over the course of a couple of days, like, did you ask what's going on with this? Like, what's going on with the park? And he was kind of just like, I don't know yet. And I was like, all right, well, did you DM her this morning? Did you text? No, I spoke to her 2 days ago, and she said that there was no update yet. And so she had like sent a screenshot of like, here's how many days out we can potentially book. And these are, your days are not there yet, not available to even check and see if it's going to be easy peasy to get free tickets or not. And so we had kind of already mentally come up in our minds that we were going to wait until around today, which today is March 13th. We were going to wait till around today to decide if we were going to fully cancel the trip and do something else for that weekend, that long weekend. Or if we were willing to like wait to see if like the window opened up, because we didn't want to lose out on the opportunity to go, obviously, for such a ridiculously cheap deal.
Right.
Before deciding, let's just scrap it and go have a 5-dayer somewhere else, right? But for me, I'm like, I really wanted to have everything secure. I wanted the vacation planned, right? And so now we're only a couple of weeks away. This was a couple of weeks ago at this point. But to me, I was like, so it was like a month away. I'm like, I still really want to know what we're doing. And so I'm willing to wait until like, the 12th, the 13th. And then if their dates don't open up, I think we should just cancel everything and start from scratch and go somewhere else. And so this was a couple of weeks ago, and Adam was like, fine, sounds good. We'll wait until X date and then we'll make a decision, right? I said, okay, great. But then I kept like asking, like, did you check? Did you check in with her? And he was starting to get frustrated, as one would, right? And he's just kind of like, I need to do this in my own way. Like, I'm not going to harass this person who's doing us a big fucking favor. And I'm not going to text them 6 times a day and be like, did you check again? Like, they're living their lives. And so, we wind up arguing, because now I'm just like, why are you fucking yelling at me? Like, and he wasn't yelling, but like he was frustrated. Yeah. He was venting it out. And so then I'm like, so then I feel that. And I'm just like, I don't know why you're pissed off. I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing for our vacation, blah, blah, blah. And so we like argue for like a few minutes. And then afterwards I was like, okay, I just have anxiety right now. I'm so anxious that we're not going to know where we're going and what we're doing in an appropriate amount of time, or, air quotes around appropriate. And then I basically was just like, me asking this question over and over again is because I don't feel reassured. Right. And so basically I was able to like communicate all the stuff that I previously was just like hassling him about. Yeah. As opposed to saying initially, I have anxiety about the fact that our vacation isn't planned and that we don't know if we're even going to be able to take this trip versus another trip. So it would be helpful and reassuring to me if we could come up with a plan to check in every 3 days with Samantha to see if she can check for us, right?
Yeah.
And so like I said none of those things. I was just kind of like hurling questions at him, and
Yep.
like they didn't sound great either. I will say I remember it in retrospect being like sounding like icy, like irritated before he would even respond. He could have been like, yeah, I spoke to her and everything's great. And I was already because my assumption was just like, you haven't done this. You haven't done this. I can't trust you with this.
Yes.
Right. And so that was where I was coming from. It was just a place of I'm anxious about this. And for whatever reason right now, I'm struggling to trust that you're going to get this done in the time frame that we needed to get it done or that we agreed upon. And he was kind of just like, what in our entirety of our relationship has ever led you to believe that I was not going to stick to the deadline that we picked for ourselves? And I'm like, I don't know, nothing.
Like nothing, led me to that. Like,
well, then my immediate instinct was to gaslight and be like, whoa, last week was like, you said you were going to take the garbage out at 6 o'clock and you took it out at 6:05, and like I was feeling fucking petty. Right.
Yeah.
And so then I'm pissed off, anyway. And so like we've joked about it since, but I was just like, after I cooled down, I was like, okay, I'm behaving badly. I am not communicating with you how I feel. You have earned my trust in this situation that you will be able to figure this out and get it done by the date that we selected as our deadline. Yeah. And, you were right, I was wrong type vibes. Right. And and then he was able to be back in his own body and be like, okay, right. So here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to check in with her every 2 days, right? With one message, wait for a response, and then accept whatever the response is. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I can do that, But it was one of those hilarious moments to me that it's just like, even after so many years, with the same person who knows me better than anyone and who I know, it's just, you still have these moments where you're just like completely in out of body, where you're, I'll speak for me, where I'm completely out of body and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's going on, but you're not doing what I need you to do in the time frame I need you to do it in. I need you to fucking get your shit together and do it when I say to do it. And so like, that is not the best way to approach literally anybody, let alone your partner. So that was the story about my bad behavior.
Yeah.
That was due to being anxious about the situation.
Right. I mean, what I hear is like anxiety just wanted like something to hold on to, right? Like it was like, give me something. Because anxiety just felt like they were like, Bertha was floating around. Like Bertha didn't have like a place to put her feet. Right. And so it was manifesting with like tons of questions that were getting more icy and more like, just give me some place to put my feet. And then we can, and so I can totally relate to that feeling where anxiety manifests as like asking a ton of questions, even though it's annoying. Right. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And it's like, imagine receiving all that's like, I literally, I can't check in 17 times a day. That's not the way I do things. Right. And so like,
and most people.
Right? Right. I'm like, for me, I'm like, we're doing it wrong, man. Like you're supposed to check in 1,500 times a day, which is obviously incorrect. Like you can't be literally bothering someone who's doing you a favor, like every other fucking second. Right. So yeah, it's all good now, but so like 100%.
What was the fear? Like all this like discomfort, right? Around the not knowing. Were you afraid of losing money? Were you afraid of just not having a plan or having to come up with a plan quickly? Like what was the fear that needed reassurance about if this woman was checking or not,
I think it's just the control enthusiasm. Like it's like because we had agreed that the park tickets were just more money that we want to spend on a trip we've been on before, right? Yeah. Like for me, it's like, we're not going to spend $2,500 on park tickets for 5 days when we have the option to get them for free, especially knowing we have the option to get them for free. It almost felt like more stress or something. It was like, I was holding on to like, I really want this to work out and I'm worried that it won't work out. Right. And so there was that element. And then in addition to that, it just felt like I just kept having to, for whatever reason, I just kept having to say out loud, but I wasn't just saying it out loud. I was directing it towards Adam. I was just kind of like, we're making this decision by the 15th. I said it like, as if he had told me we weren't making the decision by the 15th, which wasn't the case. We had agreed upon it like days before. And I had no reason to believe that we'd go back on that, because that was the agreement. And that, that we would check in. This was a few weeks ago already, that we would check in to see, because like now the dates are moving, right? And so like right now the dates are open for the week before our potential trip. And so we're hoping it continues in that direction, right? But then there's a pattern that's forming. And so Samantha had said, oh, well, it looks like every week at around Thursday, that's when the following week, right? That's a month away, gets opened up. So but I didn't have all of that information. So that was part of it too, was just that there was holes in some of the information from my perspective.
Right.
And even though I hate planning vacations, I'm never the one to plan our trips. That's all him. And I think that was part of his frustration with that. He's like, I'm the one that does this all the time. So you should just be willing to trust the fact that I've been doing this for us, all of our trips, for literally forever. Right. So where is the stress really coming from? And I think it was more about like, we're doing this last minute-ish trip, which to me, a trip that's within a month is last minute, feels last minute. I like things to be planned ahead of time. And so because of the last minute nature, and then knowing that we were going to wait until the 15th to make a decision about whether we were going over here to this state or maybe potentially anywhere else. And we're not discussing the other potentials yet. Yeah. Which we had agreed upon. We agreed, let's wait until we know this isn't happening before we start wrapping our minds around potentially other destinations, right? Because then I was worried about holding too many potentials in my mind too. So I don't really know, but I just know that I just felt out of control in a different way. Yeah. And more so in like, I'm used to being out of control with the vacations that we plan, but this felt like an extra layer of out of control. Yeah. That like suddenly, not only am I putting my faith in him, but I'm putting my faith in this other person to get it done. I was going to
ask that is like, would it have felt any different if it was like me? Like if
100%,
you were reaching out to me, because you would be then having the like control around getting the knowledge that you needed.
Exactly. And he even said, he's like, here's a number, call her. And I'm just like, I'm not going to, and I had no interest in doing that. I'm like, I'm not going to go call up a stranger, someone I've never met in person.
You're going to have to say hello.
See, we brought it back. I knew there was a reason why I said hello today. Anyway. So that was the deal. That was the deal. So I think really what I didn't realize was that I just like, oh, right. I'm an Enneagram 6. I'm a Cancer. Like all the fun things I like to think of that are true about myself based on all the bullshit tests you take online or whatever. Like these are the things I need. I need reassurance. Yeah. And reassurance upon reassurance upon reassurance to feel okay about it. And until I feel okay, which may take several questions and icy tones later, but that's it. That's it. Sometimes it takes arguing or working through it to figure out what exactly the anxiety was too. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm not just angry. I'm stressed about this. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. That is the thing, is emotions drive behavior. Right. And unless we're aware of how we're feeling, like some of our behaviors don't usually match up to who we actually are. Right. Because 100%. It's the emotion behind it causing it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like we said before, it's like, it's not bad behavior. It's not great behavior, but it doesn't, or it's bad behavior, but it doesn't make you a bad person or a bad friend or a bad partner.
It doesn't define you.
Right. It's not your heart. It's just what's going on in this moment.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. All right. Well, warriors, that's it. That's all we have to share, I think, about this. We know that this has come up for you. Where something that you have experienced has influenced the way you've acted, the way you've acted out, the way you've held it in, right? I mean, behavior doesn't even need to be something that's outward or negative towards other people. Maybe you're just really shitting hard on yourself in a situation. And that's valid too, It's not just about acting like an asshole outwardly. It's about acting like an asshole to yourself, treating yourself badly in a moment based on an experience or an emotion or whatever it may be. And so spend some time today or this week thinking about how your experiences can sometimes influence the way you act out or don't act even.
And then how can you be more compassionate with yourself when you do
maybe write yourself that little letter, or imagine you're talking to your best friend and not yourself when you reflect on those super uncomfortable moments that we've all experienced.
Yeah.
And even though Abby's and my story were very separated in terms of timeline and in our lives, I think that's just more proof point that we're still dealing with this, many of us, right?
Yeah.
There's still things that come up in our anxiety journey. And it doesn't mean that we're sliding back or that we're, you know, bad at coping with our anxiety. It just means that showing up for ourselves every day is sometimes a challenge.
Yeah.
Right. And new experiences, new encounters, whatever could greatly change the way even all of the progress we've made feels. And that's okay too. And it doesn't make you bad or mean that you're like failing or something, you know? We're all just on our own journey, trying the best we can at any given moment to be better and do better. And just remember that it's never too late necessarily to repair, even if that only means you repair with yourself and for yourself.
Exactly.
And forgive yourself. Yeah. You don't have to go on Facebook like Abby is going to later.
No,
just
I'm
kidding.
definitely
and
not.
Talk to Ben. And who was the other guy?
Jason.
Ben and Jason, if you're listening.
God. At least I remember their names. Sorry.
That's true. You remember their names. That's not nothing.
Yeah.
All right, warriors. Well, thanks for listening. We hope you spent some time today or this week thinking about this topic. Abby, do you have a win of the week?
Win of the week. I do. So everyone knows that Margot and I, this has nothing to do with Margot, but that we love reading. We love books. And so I'm part of Book of the Month Club. I'm sure I've talked about it at some point. And once a year, they have like their 5 nominees of the year from all the books they've released. And then they have a winner. Mm-hmm. And if you're a BFF, best friend forever with Book of the Month Club, you get a free book of the top 5, right? Okay. So there's 5 nominees, and then of the 5 nominees, 1 wins, right? But you might have already gotten the winner, so they give you a choice of the 5. Now, I had read 4 of the 5 books, so I had to get the one, which ended up being the winner, which is a book I never would have gotten. It's a romance book, right?
Okay.
In it, one of the main characters has anxiety, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be so poorly portrayed and everything. And I was so pleasantly surprised and the author or her husband obviously have anxiety, because she talked about things in it like she made a joke, like one character was talking to the other and was like, don't worry, I won't make eye contact with you and talk to you about the weather. And I was like, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Those little things that like people that don't have anxiety don't understand how like anxiety producing that can be for some people with anxiety. Right. So yeah, that was a win that I enjoyed this book, although I'm still romance books are too formulaic. You already know at the beginning who's going to get together. It's like, God, just communicate earlier. But obviously, but the win here is that the book cover, the book jacket, had like a few marks on it. And so it was like a little bit dirty. And like, I wouldn't really care, except for that I do like the swaps, right? And like, you want your book in very nice condition when you're swapping and stuff. And so I reached out to the customer service on Book of the Month Club, and I was like, hey, do you just have an extra book jacket? Like, I don't need a new book. I don't need and they were like, we can't give you a book jacket. And since you don't want another copy of this book, we're just going to give you a free book next month.
Oh,
which is so awesome.
Hell yeah.
They have amazing customer service. Like,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So it was like a double win. I enjoyed the book. I was pleasantly surprised. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Right.
All right. Okay.
And I get a free book next month.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a massive win.
Yeah.
You didn't hate the book. First of all, you got the book that you didn't read. Okay.
I got it for free.
Didn't hate it. In fact, thought it was pretty decent.
I read it
4
very
out of
quickly.
5. That's high.
Yeah. Yeah.
High.
If you like romance books, it's a super cute book. If you like rom-coms, like it's so adorable.
Yeah. All right. What's the name?
Yours truly, by the author's name is Abby.
All right.
Abby Jimenez. Abby. Yeah. Or Jimenez. Okay. Sorry. I don't know how to say. It's my first time interacting with this author. I don't know. It's probably Jimenez. But
yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, if you like romance books, there you go.
Yours truly.
Maybe you grab one for yourself.
Yeah. Does a good job with anxiety.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds relatable.
He journals. Nice. It's a male that has anxiety and he journals.
Okay. I like that too. Yeah. That's different. That's different for a romance book.
Exactly.
So, I can appreciate that. All right. Maybe I'll check it out myself. I have too many books on my TBR right now.
He doesn't like going in long spaces. I mean, she did a good job.
Boy.
She did a good job.
Maybe I do need this one.
It wasn't a stereotypical character as anxiety.
Okay.
And yet he was still brave and did stuff even though he was uncomfortable.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
I like it. Awesome. All right, warriors. We love you so much. Thanks for being with us again this week. If you'd like to connect with us for any reason, join our Instagram fam. We're at Anxiety Warriors Podcast. You can also shoot us an email, anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your wins of the week, big or small. Share any topic ideas you have with us, or if you think you would be an amazing guest on our show, let us know. Hit us up. Take a moment and smash the 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. You can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our episodes are uploaded for you all over there. And if you're feeling extra generous, grab yourself something fun from our Threadless merch shop. It is in our show notes. Do it, get it, and goodbye.
And look fancy.
So we love you, warriors.
So much for going on this journey with us. We're so grateful we get to do this with you.
Till next time.